So if someone is looking at starting their own certification program, what are some tips? Like, what would be a sign that they're ready?
I get this question so much. So again, thank you for asking, because it's number one, it's not as easy as people think it is. Number
Mhm.
two, my first thing is, do you have intellectual property? Make sure you're not like, is this yours or is this somebody else's? And it's hard. That's a hard thing to ask because,
Mhm.
I've learned bits and pieces of this along my journey, and I can't go back in my mind and figure out who was the first person. Like, that was a really hard exercise for me, was getting clear on, is this Natalie's intellectual property,
Yeah.
knowing that many pieces of this are learned along the way. And so, first of all, do you have intellectual property? Secondly, have you protected the intellectual property? And third, now start thinking about how that looks, what that looks like for you. And there's a lot of different certification models out there, and it's a really small subset of the course kind of market. But there are several certification models out there. The way that I mean, there's so many different things, so we don't have to
Right.
go into
Yeah.
all of that, but figuring out what works best for you and how you and the curriculum that you're teaching and the market that you're teaching to, how you set and design that up it's step three. And most people come to me with that in mind. And I'm thinking, no,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. It's not about that. You have to go back to step one, which is, for me, has been, my advice has been the IP and making sure that you've got it. Number two, that you protect it, and then start looking at the way that you're going to set this up and design it. Because the design and the program coordination is the fun part. Like, that's the fun, creative part. And I get that. None of it will matter if you don't have
Mhm.
the first two.
Right.
And you
That is
really
very
can't,
true.
yeah, you really can't market until at least I found a lot of resistance in really getting very, very niche in my marketing until I had done all the IP work that I did.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, you're talking my language. I will actually link in the show notes. I did a LinkedIn Live last month called "Do You Own What You Think You Own," which is basically step one,
Mm-hmm.
which is doing that legal due diligence to make sure you own your intellectual property rights, because
Mm-hmm.
it's tricky and it's not intuitive, and so hopefully it's good, but you never know.
I think that's so important because, like, for me, the responsibility of having a certification company or an educational company in general was, people are trusting me for this, for this, we'll call it a diploma or the
Mhm.
certification or the designation, whatever that looks like for you and your company. Like, they're trusting me and my brand. I want to make sure that this truly is backed and sound before the last thing I want to do is give somebody like a false, that's not what this is about. I'm not about volume. I'm definitely about impact. And so
Mhm.
these were just critical steps to helping me stay in alignment with who I am and what I want.